Hey everybody, I am Lindsay McDonald from TV Guide, and I am so thrilled today to be moderating the Comic-Con at Home panel for Motherland Fort Salem. Before I introduce our amazing panelists, Freeform has put together a cool recap video for us to remind us of all the twists and turns in season 1. So let's check it out.
I do solemnly pledge to protect and defend
the Army of the United States.
Welcome to Fort Salem.
this witch's place.
We will rise or fall as units.
It is just the beginning.
Let's all take a breath. It's life and death out there.
You think I don't know that?
My mom died in a firefight in Liberia last year.
For those who gave their lives.
I want to show you something beautiful.
We will need all of you to meet what's coming. With storm and fury, the spree are ruthless and savage.
Every attack is worse than the last.
They will appear normal in every way, except for being agents of the end.
Let them train you. Let them make you powerful. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned. You did it.
How the hell did you get here?
She's mine.
Scylla is spree.
Why did you pick me?
The spree have 2 trucks full of mines making their way southbound to Boston.
Cadets are the only ones close enough. They aren't ready.
There's affiliates inside.
Are you refusing the order?
No, ma'am.
As one!
You've kept me in the dark about all of this.
Madam President, I must.
Enough.
What if it's not the spree?
Many governments want what we have.
I would follow you anywhere.
I will help you find my people.
What are you doing?
Hold on to the part of you that's good.
We're being watched.
Stay vigilant.
You made us into murderers.
I made you into soldiers. Our ancient enemy has returned. Let's go!
Take me.
I can't move her!
You let me go. You were supposed to bring me my daughter.
To talk us through all of those crazy cliffhangers, we have the cast of Motherland Fort Salem here with us. So let's introduce the panelists. First up, we have showrunner Eliot Laurence. Go ahead and say hi and tell us where you are calling in from.
Hey everybody, I'm in Pasadena, California.
Next, we have Taylor Hickson, who plays Raelle Collar.
Hi, I'm calling in from Kelowna, BC, Canada.
And we have Ashley Nicole Williams, who plays Abigail Bellwether.
Hi, I'm calling in from Dallas, Texas.
Yep, that's where I'm from.
Southern, yeah.
We have Jessica Sutton, who plays Miss Tally Craven.
Hey, I'm calling in from Cape Town, South Africa.
We have Demetria McKinney, who plays Anacostia Quartermain.
What it do? Calling from ATL, Shotty.
Next up, we have Miss Amalia Holm, who plays Scylla Ramshorn.
Hi, I'm calling in from Stockholm, Sweden.
And finally, we have Miss Lynn Renee, who plays General Sarah Alder.
Hi, I'm calling in from London, United Kingdom.
So first up, I absolutely have to start with the biggest cliffhanger of all from season 1. Eliot, did you always know that Raelle's mother was going to be alive and that that was going to be the finale twist? And how is it going to impact season 2?
Actually, we did not know in the writer's room. And as much as we like to keep you guys guessing and like, what the what? We also try to do that to ourselves in the writer's room. And it came out of one of those just like what if moments. And we ran with it. So we're going to be on the ground in a spree cell. We're going to learn what that feels like. We're going to learn how the spree's changing. And inevitably, Scylla and Willa, they both end with They will both be sort of pulled by this inevitable kind of story gravity towards Raelle, and they will kind of blow up with Raelle at a really shocking time in the season. But Raelle's going to have a lot to say to her mom. I think there's going to be a lot of grief to process, but also anger. Like, wait, you chose them over me. What is that about? So it's going to be very dramatic.
Taylor, how did you react when you found out about that twist, and how do you think Raelle's gonna feel finding out her mom's alive?
I was completely mind blown. We kind of had our suspicions, but to have them affirmed, I think we were all screaming when we read the script.
I didn't know you guys were suspecting a little bit. That's awesome.
Yeah. Taylor totally was like, what if my mom is still alive? And I was like, Taylor, come on, really?
That's a lot.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, now I officially need to know all of your fan theories for season 2. Because
yeah.
Actually, I do too. Like, can you send them to me like really quickly?
Hilarious.
I imagine Raelle to be, honestly quite angry with her mother. That seems to be her go-to staple emotion. But if you really think about, being subjected to grief that intense for so long, being it out of love or protection, it's still hard to justify. And so I'd actually say that the reveal of the information might heavily influence her initial reaction. If it's very sudden or a total surprise, I would expect probably knee-jerk reaction and her to feel quite betrayed. But if it's something that she's suspicious of and it's a gradual reveal, then she probably have more time to grasp the possibility, and it might maybe stabilize her reaction a bit more. But I guess then it would be more of a joyous reunion.
It's all mixed because there's joy in it too, and there's definitely kind of a mother-shaped hole in Raelle's life that she longs for. So it's just going to be a lot of layered stuff at the same time, which Taylor is incredible at.
And Amalia, this is obviously going to complicate things even further between Priscilla and Raelle. I want to know, Amalia, are you shocked that fans latched onto your character so quickly and loved her? Because she was introduced as a villain, basically.
Yes. I remember even I think I talked to Eliot about it, and maybe Demetria too, that I was like, okay, so how do I prepare to be hated by everyone? How do you do that? Because we're actresses. We like to be liked, and now I would go in and be like a terrorist. That's especially for the pilot when we didn't know what was going to happen ahead. But no, I was very shocked actually, and I guess it also gives a lot of credit to Taylor for acting as such a protagonist that people would sympathize with what she's feeling towards Scylla and tag along with her. So just that playing off each other.
You're so lovable as a person, and it really radiates in your character. It's just, you physically made it impossible to hate you. And I think that's why Raelle will, come around. That's what I'm hoping. But, you really played with the morally gray areas of people. And if you look close enough at traditional idealism of good and evil or black and white, it's really muddied throughout the whole show in almost every character, I'd say. And I think that's what makes you so relatable and so lovable, is because people F up, they make mistakes, and it's like the rest of us. And I think that only leaves room for personal growth. And no one ever thinks that they're the bad guy. They're all fighting for their cause. They think they're doing the good thing, fighting the good fight. So I think that made you impossibly lovable.
Thank you.
I agree.
I do know there are a few haters still out there, so therefore I'm wearing white today to manipulate those few who are still hating. They see I'm an innocent.
This show plays around with good and evil and perspective, and who the good guys are, especially with Sarah. So could you sort of speak a little bit to that? Are there any good guys in this story?
I think our unit is pretty damn good. I think our main three are pretty solid, good people, but it is a show that wants to embrace the gray and the layers and the reasons why and all of that stuff, and to be provocative and dangerous. You know, particularly with Alder, I mean, you got to assume that after over 300 years of life, she's been through her dark periods and her awful periods and her great periods and her, you know, she's a human being, and because she's been able to live so long, she's been through way too much for any kind of one soul to bear. That's how I think of her, Lynn.
I think that's why I fell in love with Alder so much, because she is very much in that gray zone and you never really know who you have in front of you, and it changes as well. The same with Amalia. I have a lot of, you know, fans that are like, I don't know whether to love her or hate her, and they're all like, you know, dubious about it and not sure whether, you know, she's good or bad. But I feel, you know, what Eliot just said, with Alder having been through so much, you know, I don't think that Alder considers herself bad. On the contrary, she stands for everything that's good for her country that she's been fighting for that long, everything good for her recruits that are her daughters, her biddies that keep her alive to lead. So it's a very beautiful disbalance almost that I loved playing with, having given the opportunity to play Alder.
Jessica, Tally really had to go to some extremes. She started to question everything she believed in. What do you think, after all of that back and forth, spurred her to make the decision to become a biddy?
Well, the necessity of the moment. Like, if we're just talking about the moment itself on the battlefield, I think there was just no way that the unit was going to get out of there without Alder and her power. It was the impulse of the moment to do the right thing, and to come back to how morality is very much gray. I think back to the scene between Tally and Alder in the cave, and I think there was a really inciting incident between the two of them. And especially as the last chapter of season 1, we'd seen Tally's arc being of one of her naivete being slowly chipped away, and her innocence, while pure, was very much ignorant, and lessons are bound to come her way. And in this kind of beautiful arc that Eliot wrote, she's maturing, she's waking into the woman and waking into the witch and waking into her power. And just thinking back to how she was in the pilot as this kind of idealistic, sweet, she's still sweet, but I think the idealism is really something that sticks. And her seeing Alder as this idol of just symbolizing everything as, you know, good and just in the world. And to see that idol fall, in her eyes anyway, has been part of that journey of realizing that your morality is very much deciding in the moment what the right thing is to do. And that comes with compromise, and that comes with sacrifice.
I think Alder recognizes that, because I think, you know, Tally for Alder is the toughest one to crack. You know, she keeps on rebelling in the arc when we finally do get to leave together, and she sees that, and I think that Alder recognizes herself in that, you know, that Alder used to be the young witch that wanted to find her place with all her question marks and all her wonders about this world, and having to find her place. And I think so much has happened to her, and then to have Tally face her and stand up like she does. I mean, nobody talks to Alder that way, and I think Alder almost lets her be that direct and question everything to see that she makes that arc and that she grows through that. And of course, when that moment comes that she is the one that stands up to save her, it's just, you know, again, she too is her daughter, and she sees all of her recruits very much as her daughters.
I love the question, Lindsay, because I think the whole show is always going to be wrestling with this idea of what is necessary force, what is justifiable. And I think that's going to play through many of our characters' dynamics, and it's playing beautifully with Lynn and Tally. And it will continue to in season 2.
Oh, I can't wait!
Speaking of, do we think she's going to get unbiddified, or are we going to keep Jessica in old people makeup forever?
I don't want to give that away quite yet, but what I will say, which we are having so much fun writing to, is that the connection of biddyship is so profoundly intimate. It's like, it's a psychic bond. It's sort of like, it's almost like being, it's almost like mother-daughter, lover. It's profoundly deep. And that will haunt Tally through the entire season, because Tally will start to remember Alder's memories.
Bruh.
Yep.
I love this.
Well, Ashley, my next question is for you, because Abigail experienced a similar conflict sort of between her own ambition and what she knew was right. Do you think the finale was a turning point for her character, not only choosing to go on this mission, but also to stay behind and to save Raelle?
I do. I think it's like a complete 360, because she starts off being, you know, rah, you know, the army and everything. Because, you know, she was born to be in the army. She, her mom, Petra, is a general, and, you know, she had Jem Bellwether and all of these higher ups in the army. So I think, you know, starting to question the army and question if what we're doing is genuinely good for the world or our people when Libba dies. And then when she's introduced to Adil, and, you know, he's scared of our helicopters. And we're like, well, why is that? What have our helicopters done in your hometown? And, you know, going on this trip to save his people and then not leaving Raelle and dropping War College for her unit.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, because, you know, that was her whole thing coming into Fort Salem was, I'm getting to War College, no one's going to stand in my way. So I think going from being about herself and to being about the unit and learning that there's no I in team it's a beautiful character arc. And I think she'll carry that into next season, because there's no turning back, I think, for her now that she's about her unit. And I think Raelle and Abigail are kind of like together at this point. Like there's no separating them at all after that witch bomb. So I think this will have a lot more depth to her now.
Well, Demetria, I have to ask about Anacostia too, because in this talk about who's good and who's evil, she to me feels like the moral compass of the show. I'm always like, she's got it. Anacostia's on the right track. Do you see her character that way?
So here's the thing. When I came into knowing who Anacostia was, I felt such a connection to her. I felt like I knew her. I felt like, you know, she was kind of the straight arrow on the field. It was or it wasn't. And in understanding that she is kind of a hodgepodge of all the characters. She's had her vulnerable Blossom-esque angel emoji Tally moments. She's had her renegade, angry, I don't need anybody, Raelle moments. And of course, you know, she walks with her astuteness because she understands the powers with which she has grown, which is Alder. So she has her bellwether within her. On top of all of that, she has been a sponge soaking in the sea of Alder. I think that what she's kind of learned going into all of these newer situations is that every sponge has holes for a reason. There's a lot of different things that go wrong. There are a lot of different outlets that have to happen. And without letting some of that pressure out and being able to kind of sift through what you take in, you can be anybody's tool. And not wanting to be a tool or an advocate for the wrong things, I think is becoming a big part of who Anacostia is. It's been so weird because when I see people talking about Mama Costia, I was like, ain't nobody's mama on this show.
Demetria, what do a couple of your friends call you?
They call me Mama Bear. They call me Mama Costia. It's like, it's just this matronly thing that I wanted to kind of dash onto the top, but I guess it's kind of become the umbrella while everybody's kind of figuring out who they are to be next. I love the way that, I mean, we've all kind of given Eliot his moment of praise, but I have to give mine. The writing in this thing is just so well thought. It's just so poignant. And each character, while they may have derivative things that attach them, is so unique and very, very specific. So seeing us all play together and getting an opportunity to be recognized as, you know, kind of the straight arrow that's kind of going a little bit waverly now is a really cool journey.
That was one of my favorite parts of season 1, was seeing Anacostia and Scylla play off of each other. I'm curious for you and Amalia, your thoughts on that relationship and where you want to see it go in season 2.
Well, we want to see it go anywhere. It can go in
all over the place.
And it does. Yeah, you guys are off now. I mean, Anacostia let you go, and as to why, I think part of it was Anacostia was not ready to throw Scylla in the garbage and let her rot in a Caribbean prison, Caribbean witch prison, which I'm dying to go to in this show someday. That would be scary. But you were not willing to do that. But Anacostia is also like very strategic and very smart. And I think, we've seen a few people voice frustrations about what Alder's doing about the spree.
Yeah.
And Anacostia kind of took that into her own hands and sort of cooked up a mission to sort of let Scylla go and see where she goes and follow her and get some stuff done.
We're in the waiting room about to do our auditions, and this is the first set of eyes I see. And so to see her and to know how nervous we were to come into this thing, and as soon as she told me who she was, I was like, oh, you've got it. Period, point blank, hands down. So to have been on this ride with Amalia from the very, very, very beginning,
literally,
and then to get to have that kind of interaction, that mind chess that we had within that dungeon, and see the parallels and see the differences and see the colors, the ebbs, the flows that we kind of mesh with together, it's just been an absolute honor and a privilege. I think you are absolutely amazing. All of y'all are. But that moment that we had was just something that I really, really looked forward to. It was such a culmination of this kind of passive aggressive power struggle between the two of them, only to understand they're so much more alike than they wanted to admit.
In the beginning, I was really sad that I missed that whole, process of everybody getting to meeting each other, because everybody had been cast but the general. But then afterwards, I was very happy that I didn't meet any one of them, because I had to have such a separation between me and them and, try to carry that power, because I remember so well when that role came to me, I was so scared. I've never been more scared to try and portray a certain role like Alder, because she's so far from who I am. And, it was such a great exercise to try and get all that power. And I remember coming to set where everybody was just like, oh my God, it's the general. And I was like, how do I make this work and make everyone believe? And I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks in when I arrived on set, and where crew members started going, General, good morning. And I was like, oh my God, I've got her. This is it. I've got her. I believe it.
No, Lynn, I told you my first day on set because Lynn just came in just to read off her line. She wasn't even on camera for me. And I was just like, oh my God, that's her. That's the general. Oh my God. You just had like this presence, like this power, like no one can touch me. No one can mess with me. And then I like hear you goofing off and I'm like, oh, this is not her at all. So it's just, I think the power that you bring to Alder is just insane, because you're right. It is the complete opposite of you. So that just shows like how great of an actress you are.
The Camarilla sort of dropped in here as like the new big bad when I was like, how do you badder than the spree? What can you tell us about them in season 2?
Oh man, they're bad. I mean, this makes the spree look like, let's have them over for a barbecue. No big deal. Like they're fine. I see why they're angry, right? No, the Camarilla are genuinely horrible. They were a witch hunting organization that were alive and active back in early Alder days. And they were the ones who were kind of behind the Inquisition, behind the chaos of the burning times in Europe, sort of using all of that chaos to root out witch families. And literally their stated aim is to wipe the stain of witch blood from the world. They're openly, right out front, genocidal. And they're really, really bad. And what we're going to see in season 2 are these very, very different and very full of conflict organizations, the Spree and the Army, starting to realize, wait a minute, we might have the same enemy. We might want to help each other, because if they win, we're all gone.
And Lynn, do you think this is sort of like a great opportunity to explore more of Alder's backstory, since we do have 300 years of history to sort of fight into?
Yeah, I think so. And also the Camarilla, is an enemy that Alder thought she had defeated. She didn't just think it. She was convinced that she had, defeated and extinguished. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yes.
Camarilla, also the Camarilla are the ones that came after and have killed so many of her personal family. They took their voice cords and they're all in that box that was
And
once
they
on
wanted Lynn's. They wanted
Yes,
Alder's
they
very
wanted
badly,
mine.
and they
So
didn't get it.
So when they came with the box to my office and they said, that it could be the Camarilla for Alder, it was almost an insult. It's like, how could you? I've diminished them such a long time ago. So for them to come back, that's a very personal journey that is going to come back and is going to face Alder with a lot of her backstory. And I think we're going to get to see a lot more of Alder that, will come to the surface that we didn't know before, and will make you as an audience, I think, understand her better or not.
I do want to also take a minute to talk about sort of the way this show approaches women and their sexuality, because this is such a sex positive show. And for the first time we're seeing, women not shamed for having sex. It makes them stronger. So Eliot, if you want to speak to that, and I know probably some of you all have thoughts on it too. But
I'm such an expert on female sexuality. I am a world-renowned expert. But what I wanted to do was exactly what you said, to create a space where women are not problematized for having lust and sexuality. And the other thing is, it felt very loyal to the research around witchcraft, which, my view of witchcraft is not satanic. It's more of a fertility cult. It's a nature religion. And back in those days, I mean, it's about sex, and it's about bounty and harvest and all of that stuff. And it's not sort of problematized in the way that happens in Judeo-Christian religions. And it leaves women in a very free place with regard to sexuality and agency.
Yeah, I think you can tell Abigail has a lot of that. No, but I think something that I love that Eliot did with this is that, in our society, women are shamed, or they're called a hoe or things like that if they are free sexually. It doesn't matter how many people you've been with or whatever. And I think when it's flipped with the male, you're kind of applauded for how many girls you get and things like that. So to see Abigail be with two guys and take complete control is just a total role reversal. And I know our show focuses a lot around women empowerment, and I just feel with that, it's kind of it doesn't matter what anyone says. You can be who you want and do what you want and not feel ashamed and things of that nature. And I don't know, I love that, because we attack so many stigmas in our society and flip them. So I feel women can feel more empowered by who they are and not shut down like our society tends to do with us.
The idea that love is love, period. We're definitely dealing with a lot of female sexuality, but female on female sexuality, as she just mentioned, having two guys, gang, whatever your preference is. Whatever your preference is love, power is power, desire is desire. And at the base of it, it's primal, it's natural, it's human. And whether you're a witch or other, those are things that we just naturally need. As he said, it's an opportunity to look at things through a different lens. Every time I heard about a witch, it was a cult. It was a weird nose wart lady that ate Eye of Newt and all that other stuff. But we're taking these opportunities to really embody a different perspective sexually, mentally, emotionally, with all of these different things that we're attacking. It's just been really, really cool. And I ain't get to do, the Beltane thing, but watching it made me feel powerful.
We'll get you a Beltane moment in season 2.
Now you better lay low.
He's some shiny.
I can't have my potato salad out just for no reason.
Not
But
potato
it's also
salad.
but it's also very refreshing. We'll get you in there. Maybe Alder will get you in with her. But it's very refreshing as well, because even with the witch father, it's the first time that you don't see a romantic underlying thread for why these two people have to come together. She basically knows how the witch father serves her sexually, without it having to become complicated. And I thought that was so refreshing and so renewing, you know, without it having been like a woman going like, oh my God, is it going to be? No, she just literally knows how he can serve her and uses him for that exactly. And I thought that was incredibly powerful.
And he's honored to do it too, because this is part of his faith too. And there's the sacredness mixed with the carnal stuff. I just love.
I think it's such an original take on it all. And I think it poses a new norm, that is when sex is so free, someone like Tally needs, and Rel and Scylla need to fight for their love in a different way, because love is not like, I just love how you turn all that around, Eliot, because now love is not the norm or the goal. So if that's what you want, that's going to be abnormal. And just how that poses an entirely new perspective.
That's a cool flip.
Well, I want to get to some fan questions too, because they sent in literally thousands. Thank you for sitting.
We love the switches. We love them so much.
They are our whole life.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and not butcher these people's handles. Rayla MF Skendry would like to know what were Eliot and the cast doing when they first heard of the season 2 renewal, and how did you celebrate?
Well, it was my birthday, which was the sweetest thing that anybody's ever done for me. Freeform were like super, super damn cute and told me on my birthday. And miraculously, I was able to get all of these women on the phone all over the globe. I still don't know how that happened. So I was able to tell them the good news and just, you know, hug over the phone and be happy. I did not celebrate too much because life is so strange now, but it was a magical day for sure.
I popped the bottle.
Yeah, we all did. We had a Zoom. Yeah.
We had a collective Zoom. I was napping. And then I woke up from the nap and I saw Eliot called and I was like, couldn't be on the phone like that.
I was the last to hear. I was doing a press interview. And my phone was just vibrating like off the table. And I'm like, okay, nothing's happening. And I see, because we have this group chat on Instagram.
It kind of ruined it for Jess, yeah.
And then I'm just seeing Ashley just all in like capitals, like, we're going for season 2. Because I didn't know. I didn't know. Taylor's like, no, man, Jess still hasn't got her call.
I was like,
I don't know. The interviewer was just like, congratulations. I'm like, I gotta go. I'm expecting a call.
No.
So it was great. And then we all Zoom called and we danced in Edge of 17.
Yes, we danced. We did a lot of dancing.
And next question comes from @TaterTrash. Is the mother tongue, and how is it that it's a language only known by witches, and how did it become their official language? This is something I'm very, very curious about too.
I love this question so much. I so appreciate it, because this is the kind of stuff that I'm obsessed with. So the idea that I'm playing with is that witches in prehistory were the first people who used language. Witches literally taught the rest of humanity how to speak. And so mother tongue is mother tongue is that language, and it is the again, in this alternate world, it is the root human language that all of the other languages are built from. And it's again from this idea that the first human speakers were witches, and they brought language to the world, which kind of ties into why their power is linguistic and based on the voice. And if you can learn mother tongue, it's really easy for you to learn other languages like super, super quickly, because it has that kind of root language quality. So that the stuff about the prehistory we will get into, but that's if we're lucky enough to go many seasons, because it's deep mythology. We will. When
are we gonna learn? Are we all gonna learn mother tongue?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Are we gonna learn?
I hope.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I hope
is that like a war college class?
Lynn, can you tell us how hard it is?
No, it's, guys, I really hope you get the chance to learn it, because it is so beautiful. But it's not just about, you know, how to pronounce it. I'm working with Frederick, our coach in Vancouver, who's absolute sweetheart. He you know, we would do a sentence, and then he was like, so what did you just say? And I was like, what? He's like, what did you just say? And he would test you on what you were saying, not just how you were pronouncing. And I was like, do you know how difficult this is? I mean, I'm European, and I was blessed enough to have learned a lot of languages, that this is by far one of the most difficult things I've tackled in my life. But yet again, it's so harmonious, and it's so beautiful and musical, and makes you use your mouth in ways that you've never done before, and it's sexy and it's strange and it's everything. It's fantastic.
I want to give credit to our brilliant the man who created this language, the brilliant David Peterson, who has done such incredible work in his career, among many things, the languages in Game of Thrones. But it is truly beautiful, and again, like Lynn was saying, so strange and yet familiar. There's aspects of some African languages and some Asian languages and some root European languages. It's he really created what I wanted, which is sort of a root human language, and it's hard. I mean, your sessions with Frederic are 4 or 5 hours long for like a few lines, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
You should put us on an online course for this before.
Good idea.
Yeah,
that's like good idea.
Head start.
Well, our next fan question comes from Matt Forcefields, and a topic we touched on a little earlier. Can you expand a little bit on who the Witch Father is and a bit about his background?
Certainly. So the Witch Father, as the female soldiers have Alder, the male witches, and there are a few of them, they're not a ton, and we will see more of them in War College, but the male witches sort of need their leader. And he's not 300 years old like Lynn, and they change every couple of years, the Witch Father, but he is basically the male leader of the American witch military.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Are the male witches with us in War College?
You're gonna get some new ones. You're gonna get some new male witches, because again, War College is the advanced training that we will be moving into, and there are more men there than there were in season 1, so that'll be fun.
Oh, Abigail.
Not a ton more. Not a ton more.
Abigail.
Abigail.
Is War College like a separate? Is it separate from Fort Salem, or is it?
It's
just
not.
Like
it's part of basically, those woods that we always see. Like we're imagining it's on the other side of those woods, and it's basically the advanced. It's where you go when you do well in basic, and at the end of the day, you guys did.
I want to see Abigail with the teacher from Mother Tongue, who will be a great male.
A great male. Yeah.
That's my wish. They're a wish box.
Amalia's just setting me
Actually,
up right
Adil
now.
is going to help teach some Mother Tongue because
he
people
sure
speak
is.
it.
Oh, he's
sure
amazing.
is.
He sure is.
Oh, because his people that we rescued
They speak it.
are gonna also be.
Yeah, they're at
Refugees.
Fort Salem too, and Kalida, who's so great.
Ooh, Kalida shut.
Kalida.
That ancient child.
Well, I think we have time for one more, and this one I actually really love, but I'm gonna again butcher this handle from @Hadasbres. I'm gonna hope that. But in the Motherland Fort Salem universe, there seems to be no racism, homophobia, etc. that we've seen at least. Was that a conscious decision, and did you ever think about adding those elements into the show?
It was a conscious decision, and one thing to remember is that really what we think of as the world of the show is a kind of a pocket world of this base life, of this sort of subsect within American society that is the military. So it is sort of a bubble, and because female power in the American military and in militaries around the world has been so visible and present, because other nations have witch militaries too and have these incredibly powerful women fighting their wars. Because that has happened, I think the tide has shifted towards feminism in the world at large, but it's still not a perfect place, and there's still bigotry and racism. One thing that's interesting about race and Motherland is that within this pocket matriarchy that Alder created, certain families like Abigail's family who are Black were allowed to sort of establish a foothold where they could accrue wealth and power and establish these really powerful dynasties. So certain aspects of white supremacy did not work in this bubble, but outside in the world at large, it's a little closer to the world we know. And in season 2, we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see witch hatred. We're going to see what that looks like. And it's pretty deep and dark.
We got a little bit. Do you remember the scene with the little girl and Tally? and the mom.
Yes.
And we shot 2 alternative takes.
Yep.
One
Episode 2.
I remember, yeah, and it was really interesting because we wanted to give like I guess the final cut to have the say, but it was kind of how, you know, to establish how witches are perceived by mortals.
We're getting so much deeper into that. Oh my goodness.
It's gonna get really interesting because I remember the first take was the mother kind of looking at Tally and like scoffing at her and then grabbing her child in fear and kind of running away.
We chose the softer take, but pardon?
Even in the bar with the pizza, you know, the people that are doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
We touched on it a little bit, but I think that touching on it that way was smart because it took color out of it. It's just about the root core of anger and hatred without reason or understanding. And I think doing this type of a show, not only with the women's empowerment, but also, as you said, you know, there's no gender, there's no color, there's no, you know, in a time like this, where the climate of our country, over here anyway, is being so tested, is a beautiful thing. People get an opportunity, again, to see things from a different lens, a different vantage point, and get a better understanding of what is possible if we put down some of those shields that we have up just for having up's sake. So I love that he came up with that.
I think it's funny, Eliot, that you said these were conscious choices. Because for me, initially, anyways, it wasn't something that I was completely conscious of at the time. And especially, you know, when you see the LGBT representation in film, it's so rare, and especially in protagonists. And, you know, it's all too rare. And I was honestly having the impression that the representation and the diversity in Hollywood was massively expanding, and I think that mindset and people like me that think that way were part of the problem. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh yeah, they have a good pedestal, they have a good platform now, you know, all these communities that feel so left out. Like, I just, you know, and when the communities finally do get a nod, it's not to the extent of screen time that you see Rayla have, or, you know, whatever it be. And I think that these are often token characters. I think they're quickly killed off, and that's for, you know, Black people, Asian people, gay people, trans characters, you know, all of these characters that you see on screen. The list goes on, but it's, you know, you see them quickly killed off, or they're token characters, you know, they're in the background, and it's just to kind of give a nod to them. And I think that you really came in to change that dynamic. I think we all have to thank you for that. We all need to thank for that. And I think the audience would probably greatly say the same thing, you know.
Oh, thank you, Taylor. That's so nice.
I agree with Taylor. When I first read the script and I was like, wow, there's like a Black lead. Like, it was just insane to me. And then 2 Black series regulars, you know, like we see like Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, like they've opened the doors for us, but to have 2 Black series regulars in a show and they're constantly in the episodes, I was in awe. When I was just like, this is so great. Like,
I mean, we have a Black female president. How amazing is that? The fact that Alder's right hand, Anacostia and Alder, that relationship, that deeply grounded love that they have for each other, which then of course gets tested, but to have her again as her right hand, and her considers her as a daughter as well, and that's so beautiful that all the normality in our world is broken within Motherland, and shows them how it can be and should be.
For all of this to come from a man who is a self-proclaimed all-knowing guy of female sexuality, has been Black his whole life and has been this, you know, it's like, for this whole Minecraft to be constructed from somebody who may not have ever had those experiences lets us know that the changes are possible. It lets us know that the world is opening up. And I mean, for it to come across so brilliant, you're literally lighting a torch that we're all going to kind of pass our batons with. And it's been just a really, really cool thing to watch you manifest the possibilities so that others can start the manifestation as well.
Well, thank you guys. Love you too. You guys bring it to life. You guys make it all happen. So it's all you. I'm so grateful to each of you.
Well, that feels like a wonderful place to end it. I can't imagine a better ending to this panel. Thank you guys all so much for signing on and being part of Comic-Con at Home.
Thank you so much, Lindsay.
having us.
We're so awesome. Thank you very, very much.
And for anybody who wants to catch up or rewatch Motherland Fort Salem as we desperately await season 2, it is now streaming on Hulu. So go binge watch.
Hulu.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, let's bye.
Bye.